Got it in just before midnight. That's what she said. Haha. Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. It is 11:55 p.m. on Saturday, February 18th, soon to be Sunday, February 19th. It is President's Day weekend. All my kids and the federal government have off on Monday, but I don't. I have to go to work, as does my wife. But it's been a week. It seems so long ago, but believe it or not, the Super Bowl and Valentine's Day were both this week. It seems like they were so long ago, but they were this week. So we'll recap that. The MCU's first film of 2023 pops up, and it's getting unfairly treated in the press. And we're going to go on my spoiler-heavy review of it, which is an excellent movie, by the way, regardless of what you see online. And we'll talk about toxic fan bases and Rotten Tomatoes and how shitty all that is, stuff like that. We had some major deaths this week. We've got some comebacks. We've got some dates moved. We've got some crazy trailers. We got people talking retirement. We've got new ice cream flavors. We've got Thanksgiving appears a couple times. Apple TV Plus shows up a bunch. HBO Max is in the news a little bit. What else is there? Megadeth shows up here. Ted Lasso's in this. I said new trailers, Broadway announcements, casting announcements, some science stuff, all kinds of crazy things. So we got all kinds of wild stuff. So before I get to the Ant-Man 3 review, I'm going to cover some more stuff first. But I finally found it after weeks of looking for it. Dr. Pepper Strawberries and Cream. I have a solo one. I haven't tried it yet. So as I like to do on this show, this will be the first time you get a taste of it. It's very strawberry smelling. So here we go. Yeah, basically tastes like this is strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper. It tastes like strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper, which isn't a bad thing. It's not bad tasting. You get the strawberry is definitely in there, and it's lingering. And you definitely get the cream flavor from the cream soda as well. You get a little hint of the Dr. Pepper in it as well. This actually isn't too bad, actually. Yeah, second bit, yeah. Excuse me. So, yeah, we've got lots of strawberry flavor and lots of cream flavor. It really isn't that bad. So you can find it. Is a 12-pack worthy? I don't know if I drink it all the time. It's very sweet because the strawberry is very sweet, but you also get the cream soda sort of flavor. There's already the cream soda Dr. Pepper thing. They just added like a strawberry flavor on top of that. So that's kind of what you get out of this. It's not bad. It really isn't. It's pretty good. I'm dying to find the Peeps soda, which I'll talk about here in a few minutes, but it's supposedly out and about somewhere, so I can see if I can find that. Also, I have upstairs, I didn't bring it down here, but Gatorade has a new caffeine hydration drink. So it's going to be like they added caffeine to Gatorade. So I have a small one up there. So I'm going to try that. I don't know if I'll do it on a show or I'll just try it on my own and let you know how it is. But yeah, strawberries and cream, Dr. Pepper is not bad, actually. You like strawberry flavor. It's not too bad, really. Yeah, it's there. Strawberries are definitely there. So if you like the strawberries, they're definitely will like kind of like this. And there's also sort of that cream flavor and that sort of Dr. Pepper sort of aftertaste is in it as well. And it's officially Sunday now. Sunday actually, no, it isn't. My computer clock is slightly ahead of my phone clock here by about 30 seconds. So that was definitely worthwhile to try out. So very good. Super Bowl wrap up. The Super Bowl happened last Sunday, 1 week ago. It was exciting, and I got one of the scores right, just not the final tally of it. I said the Eagles would score 35, and they did, but the Chiefs scored 38. So Chiefs won the Super Bowl 38-35. And of course, as soon as the Super Bowl is over, screamings about how the NFL is fixed. There was a ticky-tacky holding call at the very end that gave the Chiefs a chance to get in place to kick the game-winning field goal. So everybody screamed that they shouldn't have called an illegal holding call in the middle of the Super Bowl because it ruins the Super Bowl game. It's still a rule you cannot hold. And the player who got charged for holding, he said, I sure as hell did hold him. I just didn't think I was going to get called for it. That's why they have penalties, is because you're not supposed to do that. It doesn't matter if it's a regular season game or if it's a Super Bowl game. And I guarantee if it was the other way around and the Eagles were the ones that were held and they set up and they end up kicking the winning field goal to win the game, the Eagles fans wouldn't be crying that the fix was in. The Chiefs fans, maybe. We'll see. But we'll never know. Regardless, it doesn't matter. It was a pretty good game. It looked like it was going to be a blowout because the Eagles had overpowered the Chiefs for the first half of the game. And then Eric Bieniemy, the former offensive coordinator for Kansas City Chiefs, who's now the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders, which I think is a good move on their part, found a weakness in Philadelphia's scheme while he was doing looking at the replays and the films and stuff like that of the first half. And so he set up a scheme to take advantage of that. And the Chiefs marched down the field and scored on every one of their possessions, I think, in the second half to come back. They were down by 10. They came back and but the Eagles played a hell of a game. Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, was outstanding. And he did really well. And that's it. They play each other again next season. So hopefully that'll be opening day game between the two of them would be good because it's in Kansas City. So that'd be good to see that as the opening day game. So we'll see. But cries of the game being fixed, all kinds of stupid stuff. It's just becoming noise. Just there's lots and lots of stuff that's just becoming noise, and it's getting really, really annoying, and it's really pissing me off a lot. So that's that. So football is now over, and baseball, the catchers and pitchers went to camp starting this week, so we'll start seeing the regular players in soon. We'll see more and more of that as we get along. The biggest rumor of the week is Robert Pattinson's Batman will be making an appearance in the Penguin HBO Max show, which is getting ready to start filming here. Colin Farrell announced that they were going to start filming that soon. I've got more casting for that movie coming up, or the TV show coming up in a little bit. Satellites discover a previously unknown breeding colony of emperor penguins on the west side of Antarctica. It had never been spotted before, but satellites discovered them this week, actually. So there is a whole nother breeding colony of emperor penguins down in Antarctica. So that's kind of interesting about that. A giant color-changing creature swims through an Oregon tide pool, and this was video of it. They had video of it, and it was on the Oregon page that I follow, so probably nothing that's really, really fake about it. Jamie Lee Curtis joins Ben McKenzie in the new ABC show The Hurt Ward. That's been announced this week that's coming out here. Michael Keaton is returning to his comedy roots, his parenting comedy roots, I should say. He has been cast in a new movie called Goodrich, where he has to take care of the twin babies he has with his second young wife, when his second young wife either leaves him or goes to jail or something like that. And he has to go ask for help from his oldest daughter, who's, in her 20s and 30s, since Michael Keaton's like in his 60s and 70s, for help on how to take care of the kid. And he soon, the daughter and the father reconnect. So it sounds like a fun, cute parenting comedy. And it's going to be nice to see Michael Keaton doing something a little bit different than some of these heavy dramas and action flicks that he's been doing recently. Just get back to kind of the comedy roots. Saudi Arabia announces that they're going to be building a 400-meter tall cube which can hold up to about 20 Empire State Buildings. 400 meters in the metric system. I don't know how big that actually is, but the artist rendering of it has it as big as the city skyline in Riyadh and Saudi Arabia. So this is a massive cube-like building that's been built in the middle of Saudi Arabia. It's like a 2 million square foot sort of thing. It's going to be crazy huge. And pretty interesting to see them if it actually comes to fruition, but definitely a different take on things. So we'll see what happens about that. Of all people, or I should say businesses, Rolls-Royce apparently has created a micro reactor, which is made only for space travel, and it was set up by the UK space explorers who said they needed a new type of reactor to get out of space. So Rolls-Royce has created this micro reactor, which is supposedly only going to be used for space vehicles that hopefully will take people outside that. Sorry, that's my son's clothes. Should be done here soon. Yep, there we go. Peter Dinklage has just turned 50, is contemplating retiring from acting. I guess he doesn't have the same passion for it that he used to. And he really hasn't had that, I don't think, passion for it for a while now. So best for him to do that and go ahead and do it. Nicolas Cage, I doubt, is ever going to stop making films. He has been cast in a survival action thriller called Arcadian. So we'll see what that's all about. Joe Manganiello, who is, we know, a big, massive bodybuilder sort of type guy and is an actor who has been in a bunch of stuff as well, and is married to Sofia Vargas, is developing a D&D TV show because we know he's a D&D guy. I mean, there's that one meme where it's this punk-ass white bitch guy who's all pumped up and says, I don't play D&D, like that. And there Jim Manganiello is on Men's Health magazine, all more pumped than this dude is. He's like, I do. So I think that's actually kind of funny, but he is in the process of developing a D&D TV show. Again, where when's going to show up, who knows? It might also depend upon the success of the movie that's coming out next month as well. I did not know this, but there's a My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, which is being made or has been made or whatever, and the first pics from it have been revealed this week. So, yeah, it's coming back. Police in China have trained squirrels to act as sniffer dogs, similar to, trying to find drugs. They've trained squirrels to try to find drugs. I find that absolutely hilarious. Coming up in about 2 weeks, Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut, Creed 3, is rolling in here. And as you know, you may or may not know, Michael B. Jordan is a huge anime and manga fan. And he is hyping up his Dragon Ball Z punch that is going to appear in Creed 3, which is kind of interesting because Creed 3 is going to also star the actor who plays Kang in Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, which we're going to talk to you about here in a second. I'm just going to try to clear some of this other stuff out before we get to that. The Red One, the Christmas action-adventure comedy film with J.K. Simmons, The Rock, and Chris Evans has finished filming, so it should be ready in time for this upcoming Christmas. So that should be interesting to see. It's going to be on Netflix, I believe. So that'll be interesting to check that out as well. The Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey director wants to make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle horror film. Now, it's getting a little... It's a funny thing like that, but now all this guy's talking about is creating movies, horror movies, using these beloved characters. It's like, oh, this is the cool thing to do. And now let's take Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and turn that into like the Chuds or something like that. I guess there's something out there for that. People want to see that, but whatever. It's getting a little old right now, I guess you could say, to me. Anyway, to me personally, but they get my opinion. We're going to talk about opinions here in about a minute or so. Hellboy has had 2 movies by Guillermo del Toro, and then another one that had David Harbour attached to it, and I forget who the director was, that didn't do that well. And now there's another one going to be get ready to made. Actually, it's way ahead of people didn't even know it was going to be made until this week, and they're like already going to start filming next month. So they must already be way ahead of the game about that. It's going to be called Hellboy the Crooked Man. It's going to be based on the Mike Mignola story that he drew for one of the Hellboys a long time ago. And what this one is pretty good about is Mike Mignola will actually be writing the screenplay with his guy he works with all the time, Christopher Golden. They'll write the screenplay for it, and the director is Brian Taylor, who directed the Crank movie, which is that, I think, that David Statham one, where if he can't slow down, or else he'll have his heart's going to explode or something like that. So they've got it all planned out. The Crooked Man, as I said, is based on a Hellboy story, and it's about a group of Appalachian witches. So could be interesting, and they've already got it prepped. They're going to say they start filming next month. So they just announced it this week. So they should have casting up for HBO, for Hellboy here really soon as well. I didn't write this down on my list, but casting for the Fantastic Four is also going to be starting up, really heating up really quickly. They're going to find their Sue Storm first and then build around her. So that's kind of interesting. Speaking of Marvel, the Marvels, the Captain Marvel 2 sequel, as it works, was come out in July, has now been pushed to November 10th. Marvel is redoing all their scheduling again for whatever reason. I don't know why. I guess some of this has to do with some of that shitty Rotten Tomatoes bullshit, which we're going to talk about here in a second. It's been moved to November 10th, which is around the same time that Wakanda Forever sort of came out. So it's a good slot, I guess, for it. You would have wanted it to be more of a summer movie, but you've already got Guardians of the Galaxy coming out in the summer, so you figure you've got Ant-Man coming out in the winter, you've got Guardians of the Galaxy coming out spring, summer, because it's coming out in May, and then you're going to have the Marvels coming out fall, winter, which is November. So you sort of get that going right there now. So we'll see how that goes on that end. So it sucks, but at the same time, it might be better for the film to let it breathe a little bit. So we'll see what happens. All right, real quick, we'll do a couple more things, and then we'll get to the review of Ant-Man 3 before I fall asleep. Teaser trailer for the live-action Little Mermaid came out this week, and again, I have no problem with a black Ariel. I don't like the Little Mermaid. I've never liked the Little Mermaid. I didn't even like the Disney cartoons. I think the story's awful. The music's fine, the artwork is fine, but the story itself is awful. And then the whole live action stuff is like, okay, yeah, go ahead. But the teaser trailer basically is taking the trailer from the animated one and just putting live action on it, which is fine. But I hope it does well, because that'll freak out the right-wing extremist assholes. I'm not going to see it because I have no desire to see it, because I do not like The Little Mermaid in general, not just because of this. I didn't like it, as I said, when it first came out in Disney back in 1989, 88. The John Wick 4 trailer came out this week, the final one like that. It's your typical John Wick stuff, just looks more action-oriented, lots of shooting, beating up, fighting. There's like ninjas and stuff now, so we'll see how that goes. And then the craziest trailer, which actually isn't as crazy as you think it is, Tetris trailer came out this week. I didn't know they were making a movie about Tetris, but it's not what you think. It's not a movie about the game. It's not a live action version of the Tetris game with the blocks falling like that. It's not one of those stupid things. No, this is the story behind the story of Tetris. Tetris was a Soviet Union creation back in the 80s when the Cold War was still going on. And the video game people were looking for a new game. And this one guy who's going to be played by Taron Egerton sees how good this game is and wants to get it on the Game Boy or whatever. So he has to go over to Russia and negotiate them to sell it to them, but they don't want to because you're in the middle of the Cold War and there's you're an American in Russia. You're going to be, blamed of, charged with maybe spying and stuff like that. So your life is going to be dangerous. So it's going to become more of a thriller sort of thing. So it's kind of an intriguing little movie. And I think it's on Apple TV Plus. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be out in theaters, but it might be in theaters. They might show up, but it was the Tetris trailer came out this week. It was definitely not what I was expecting. And it's up there sort of like with Air, which is the story of how the Air Jordans were made, which you didn't think would make an interesting movie, but the trailers have made it look like it's kind of interesting. So it looks like they're trying to do a similar thing with Tetris here. So when I saw that, I was like, that can't be about the game. And it is, but it's not about the game. I mean, the movie's not going to be 2 hours of the pieces falling, stuff like that. It's about how they got the rights to Tetris to be on their video game consoles from Russia during the Cold War. All righty. Real quick, we'll hit a couple of the big deaths here. Raquel Welch, a sex pot actress who's been in a ton of movies. She passed away this week. Tim McCarver, Hall of Fame Major League Baseball catcher and Hall of Fame announcer, passed away this week as well. Gerald Fried, an Emmy winner for Roots and composed music for Star Trek and Gilligan's Island, died at the age of 95 this week. Anniversaries this week. Red Dwarf, one of my favorite British sci-fi shows of all time, is 35 years old this week. Outstanding. If you've never seen Red Dwarf, it's outstanding. You definitely need to check it out. And Constantine with Keanu Reeves came out 2005, which makes that, 18 years old. And the sequel, as I said last week, was announced that they weren't going to be doing it, but then they changed their mind, said they are going to do it, and they reiterated that they are going to be redoing the sequel of this. So here we are 18 years later, and they're talking sequel. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so that's everything for this page except for Ant-Man 3, which might take me a little bit of time. So here we go. For those who have not seen Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I am going to go way spoiler heavy now. Check back in about maybe 10 minutes, or just go ahead and fast forward to me. Go, and then you can get back in about 10 minutes or so. I'll give you some sort of signal, like I'll go, something like that, or I'll do that, or that. I'll do some sort of signal. You'll understand it when I see it. So I should just probably tell right now. Let me just do that. Okay, when you see me do that, it means you can stop fast forwarding through this if you have not seen the movie yet, or if you don't want to spoil. So I'm going to go into a little bit, but I am going to go a little ape shit here a little bit. But basically, the movie itself is excellent. I enjoyed it immensely. It was outstanding. It was a lot of fun. It was what I like to describe as the MCU version of Return of the Jedi. It is basically a Star Wars movie for the most part. It moves very quickly. And the story starts off pretty quickly with a little bit of a prologue where we see what happened when Janet, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, her character, was stuck in the quantum zone, and she runs into Kang, and we don't know what that's about. He doesn't say his name yet, but we know it's Kang because we've seen him in Loki. And so apparently Janet knew Kang in the quantum realm. So we fast forward to present day, where Scott Lang is on top of the world, played by Paul Rudd. He has written a book about his time as an Avenger. It's become a bestseller. He's hugely popular. I believe he and what is Evangeline Lilly's? It's Janet and Van Dyne. I gotta. Sorry about this. I forgot what her character's name is. It's Evangeline Lilly is Hope. That's right. Hope Van Dyne. That's right. Okay, so let's give the actors' names right. Hope Van Dyne, played by Evangeline Lilly. Paul Rudd, and Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne apparently, I think, are married now, even though it's not distinctly said that they are, but they are together. And the reason why I think they're married is because we meet Cassie, who's the third actress who played Cassie, played by Catherine Newton, who was actually in a bunch of movies I didn't know she was in, including Freaky is her most famous one, I think, but she was also in, what was the one that took me by surprise, that she was in as well. she was in Pokemon. Yeah, she was like Detective Pikachu. She was in that. Um, she was in the map of she was in the map of Perfect Places or whatever. She was in the Paranormal Activity movies, which is interesting. So yeah, she's done a lot of stuff. It's kind of interesting. So Catherine Newton is Cassie, who we discover is just as smart as Hank. And the reason why played by Michael Douglas, and the reason why I think Hope and Scott are married is because Cassie calls Hank grandpa all the time. And so I believe you would only do that really if he was your grandfather, because if your father married the woman who's not necessarily who's not your biological mother, but is your stepmother, you will call her parents your grandparents, because they're technically they're your grandparents. So calls him Grandpa Hank and stuff like that. And I think he calls grandma also. Janet calls her grandma also. I don't think she says anything. I have to re-see it. I have to rewatch it again. Anyway, Cassie is a protector of the environment, and she looks after injustice, and she's been arrested a couple times for peaceful protests and thrown in jail and stuff like that. So she has her father sort of joie de vivre of going to jail and stuff like that. But that's not because she's a criminal. It's because she is protesting what she believes are human rights that were taken away. Like she was arrested most recently because the police were trying to clear out a park with homeless people, and they were protesting that, and they started throwing the smoke at them. I think she assaulted a police officer with one or something like that. So she stands for social justice and stuff like that. So but she's very smart, and she has created a device where they can study the quantum realm without having to go into it, by having sending a signal down there and the signal shooting back the map of it, and they can study it from inside the lab so they don't get in trouble, and so they can map it out and get an idea of what's going on in the quantum realm. Anyway, when she starts, she gets the whole family together to show off what she's doing, and she opens a portal, and it freaks Janet out, who's played by Michelle Pfeiffer. And she tells Cassie to shut it down, and she does, but it reopens and sucks everybody into the quantum realm. Now they get separated. Scott and Cassie go one place, and Hank, Hope, and Janet go another place. And they go to places in the quantum realm that we've never seen before. These places have humanoids walking around, and in two different groups. And then Janet knows who these people are, and on that side, so she's able to get her group to a safe area with people that she knows. And then Scott and Cassie have to discover themselves. They themselves hook up with a group of rebels who are rebelling against someone they call the Conqueror, which we all know who that is. And so eventually we start hearing different stories. We discover that Janet, we go back to the beginning where Kang fell from the sky, and she befriends Kang, and she doesn't know who he is, and he convinces her to help him fix his time machine. He convinces her he's a time traveler, and that if she can help him fix his time machine, he can take her back home, so that no time has passed, and all the stuff, all the time in the quantum realm didn't happen and stuff like that, because they spend 4 or 5 years in quantum zone time working on this thing, and so they become close friends. And we discover that once they fix it, Janet gets a vision from it that shows him as Kang the Conqueror, conquering other multiverses and destroying and killing and stuff like that. And it freaks Janet out. But this Kang starts talking about how he knows she probably saw something that made it look bad, but and it was he did help conquer this stuff, but he was ostracized by the other Kangs, the group of Kangs that have been trying to take over the multiverse, as mentioned in the Loki TV show, when the original Kang was talking about how he was able to push back this army of Kangs and send them away. And he's been the one who's been keeping the sacred timeline going. But once that situation happened with Sophie and Loki, and that Kang got killed, the timeline got all screwed up, and that opened the door for all these Kangs to come back. This Kang in Quantumania was one that was going against them a little bit, and so they exile him to the quantum realm, and he needs to get back so he can take them out and be like the lone person to take over these multiverses. And he said that he would take Janet home and he would not affect her timeline, that he would, because she helped him, so he owed her a debt. So she said, if you help me fix this, which she did, I will send you back exactly to the point where you will not miss any time with Hope. The whole situation of being in the quantum never happened, and we will keep that timeline intact while I take over these other ones. And so, of course, that freaks Janet out a little bit, and she was able to destroy this, the time thing that they fixed, and conceivably stranding him here, and then she got away. And so Kang was sort of stuck to his own ways in the quantum realm. And then she got rescued in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and so she was back up in the real world. So while the time she was gone, Kang was able to build up an army and take over a big portion of the quantum realm. And so he's the leader of this huge section that's built up an army, and he's just waiting for a sign from Janet to come back. And once he does, he's going to force her to fix the time thing again, and then use this army to take over the multiverse sort of thing. But that doesn't quite happen. And instead, Kang finds Scott and Cassie. I am glossing over a lot of stuff, though, just because I don't have the time to really go into full depth detail about it. He knows about Scott, and he basically threatens him, saying, I'll kill your daughter over and over and over again in front of you unless you do this for me. I've been told you're a good thief. I need you to steal this thing for me. He knows where it is, just needs someone of Scott's abilities to get it. And Scott has no other way to do, but he has to do it, because if he doesn't, Cassie's going to die. Now, we also learned that MODOK is down there. And MODOK is played by Corey Stoll, whose character was the bad guy in the first what's his name? In the first Ant-Man, who was sent to the quantum realm and was turned into where is he? Was turned into MODOK. So I liked what they did with MODOK here. I know a lot of people don't. We'll get into that in a second, but I like what they did with MODOK here. Meanwhile, Janet, Hope, and Hank hook up with an old flame of Janet's, played by Bill Murray, who actually is working for Kang and is getting ready to take them to Kang, but they get away from him. And so they know where he is, so they head towards him. And so Scott ends up having to do this heist to try to fix this thing, this time thing, so that he can, Kang can fix his time thing and go and defeat all the other Kangs and take over all the other timelines himself. And he gets a little overwhelmed, and they arrive just in time, and Hope helps him get this thing up there, and they get it up to him, and then Kang goes back on his word and says to kill Cassie. So of course, he knows it's going to happen. So they have to figure out a way to stop him, and eventually they do. Again, I'm glossing over again because I want you to see this, and I'm don't have a lot of time to discuss this anyway. It's and then it ends as expected. MODOK turns good in the end, thanks to Cassie. Cassie giant sizes out because her character in Young Avengers is named Stature, and she prefers to be tall than small. though she does both in this movie, and she is definitely a member of the Young Avengers. So it was good to see her in her costume and her as the giant-sized stature, even though she doesn't go by that name. But it's still fun to see that and see that they really are setting up the Young Avengers because they basically have all of them now for the most part. So, they got to introduce Kid Kang, which they can now because it's Kang, even though he's not introduced in this. But that's kind of interesting as well. So, as I said, so it works out there, and just it's a fun little movie. And then in the end, they defeat Kang, stuff like that. But then Scott starts having doubts that maybe they shouldn't have, and maybe that he's helped bring about something bad because this Kang was the only one that could stop all the other ones, but he didn't quite grasp what was going on because he wanted to save Cassie and stuff like that. But everyone survives. Kang doesn't though, but everyone survives, and MODOK doesn't either. But everyone survives and they're back and happy. So we'll see what happens with that, because they did set up a lot. Now, some of the stuff I wish I'd seen a little more. I wish I would see more of Hope and Scott together, because if they are apparently now husband and wife, because I think they are. It's not mentioned directly that they are, but the fact that Cassie calls Hank grandpa is a pretty dead-on sign that they are. And it's been a while since there was an Ant-Man movie, 4 or 5 years now. So it would make sense about that amount of time has passed by. So you'd think they would get married because they were pretty happily together at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp. So there's been more scenes between the two of them. And yes, I'll get into the criticisms in a second about the story, but all in all, I thought it was great. It was a good setup for the upcoming Kang storylines. I think that it set up Kang to be a really good bad guy, particularly when we get to the end credit sequences, which I really want to talk about just briefly about real quick. So there are two credit sequences. One's mid-credit, one's end credit. So that's usually how it works for Marvel movies. So you do stay to all the way to the end. You have to stay to the end because you have to see the end credit sequence. Mid-credit sequence is really good also, and it really, really shows how big this phase is going to be. So basically, so you go to mid-credits, and it comes in on the shot of Rama Tut, which is another version of Kang played by the same actor. And he's talking to somebody, and then another Kang pops up, a different looking one. Then another one pops up. There's 3 Kangs now. They're all talking, and they're all saying, that this one has been defeated. That means that the heroes are starting to become aware of what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And they say, well, we need to do something about it. So the Rama Tut's like, so I called them, and one of the other Kangs goes, you called who? Or you called them. How many did you call? And he said, all of them. We cut back, and it's a giant stadium, coliseum filled with multiple Kangs all together, who are going to be creating their Kang army. And don't know if they're going to be dispatched amongst all the timelines, and that's what's going to cause all the Avengers problems. But I would almost assume that Kang's going to have to be in a lot of the movies. I don't think he's in Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously, and I don't think he's going to make an appearance in Captain Marvel, but he's got to start popping up a lot more in a bunch of, because you got to prep yourself to get to Avengers Kang Dynasty. So you're going to have to lead to that eventually. So you see all these Kangs in this one Coliseum, and it's like, oh shit, this is massive. So that's crazy. And then you get to the very end, and you cut in on an old-timey scene. It's Kang, but this time he's like an old, scraggly, old sort of old West guy with a old West sort of hat and a long beard, stuff like that. And he's talking about a time thing to a bunch of, a crowd of like people with bonnets, stuff like that. So it looks like this takes place in the 1800s or something like that. He's selling something like a tonic or a machine, talking about time and stuff like that. And then the big surprise comes. 2 people are talking. It's like, I don't see what's so dangerous looking about him. And the voice is very distinct because it's Owen Wilson. and we cut back, and it cuts to Tom Hiddleston's Loki. Loki and Owen Wilson's character, I forget his character's name from the Loki TV show, are in the audience of this Kang, where this Kang, I think his name is Dr. Timely, is talking about that. And obviously, this is a setup for Loki season 2 that apparently looks like they're going to be on the trail of Kang, and they're going to be going through the different timelines to try to stop him. But it was just great to see Tom Hiddleston in a Marvel movie, and Owen Wilson in it as well, to setting up Loki season 2. So that was outstanding. So whoever just watched, I'm sorry if you hadn't seen Ant-Man 3. I just kind of spoiled the end of it because I hadn't done my like that, which is to say I was done the spoiler of Ant-Man 3. But I'm not quite done talking about Ant-Man 3 yet either. So the basic general story, as I said, that's the basics of it. You need to see it for yourself because it is a fun movie. It's exciting. It's got lots of it takes place almost entirely in the quantum realm, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff in the quantum realm. It's got like a bar like in the Star Wars movies, and it's got, you know, a rebel alliance, and it's got traitors, and it's got their version of stormtroopers. So it's basically the Star Wars of the MCU is this movie, and it's outstanding. It is so good. And so it was disheartening when people start talking about the end of Marvel and how the Rotten Tomatoes score for it was 48, which makes it the second worst Rotten Tomatoes score for a Marvel movie. And everyone says, is Marvel losing their touch with all their bad movies lately? And I have to say, there haven't been any really bad movies. The Eternals is a good movie. Thor: Love and Thunder was a good movie. I understand why people didn't like it. But, you know, Rotten Tomatoes is not the end-all, be-all to everything. You know, Siskel and Ebert used to be the critics that if it was gave 2 thumbs up or 2 thumbs down, everyone would go, oh, God, they gave 2 thumbs down, 2 thumbs up. I'm not going to, or 2 thumbs down. I'm not going to see that movie. Or they gave 2 thumbs up. Oh, I'm going to go see that movie. Critics are, it's sort of like, I want to say it's sort of like the Electoral College where Rotten Tomatoes is a website that collects all the reviews of a movie and correlates them into a Rotten Tomatoes score. 50 and above is ripe, 50 and below is rotten. And it all, you know, it's an average above all the reviews they get. So they get like, say, 1,000 reviews of a movie, and the majority of them are bad. So it'll be in the rotten part. So, and everybody takes a look and say, oh my God, look at all the bad scores of it. First of all, critics are not, as I said, not the end all be all to anything. It's one person's opinion of a movie, you know, and yeah, it's multiple people. So you have 1,000 reviews. It's 1,000 people's view of the movies, and they're just people. They're one person who goes in and watches the movie. They just got the job. I don't know how they got the job, but they got the job, and they're a reviewer, and they type a review up and they put it in because they need to have reviews. But it's one person's opinion, and not every opinion is correct. If they say it's terrible, you might actually enjoy it. They might not have liked it for any number of reasons. Maybe it's not the type of thing that they like. Maybe they don't like the actor. Maybe they don't like the director. Maybe they didn't like the story because they either didn't understand it or they didn't want it, or they're getting tired of seeing comic book movies. So they're going to break them all down and say they're all terrible now because they're not, because that's all there is and blah, blah, blah. It's one person's opinion. A review is one person's opinion. So you need to make your own opinion. I keep saying that is you don't listen to what other people say. You make your own decision. They have no right to say you're wrong if you like this movie. It sucks. No, that's your opinion. I like the movie. I like the movie a lot. And if I said that online, there would be many people saying, you're wrong. You're a moron. This movie's terrible. No, that's my opinion. I like the movie. But at the same time, I hated Avatar, but you all loved Avatar. You know, I hate all the Zack Snyder shit. And hopefully, you know, more and more people will start hating on that shit because it's awful. And that comes to another point as well. Rotten Tomatoes has also been known to get bombarded with fake reviews. They have no security in place to make sure that they do not get bombed with reviews anymore, because it still happens. And despite the fact that Zack Snyder orchestrated a campaign to make him look better and make other people look worse, has been glossed over. That's a fact. That's in the news. He been proved that he was one of the people behind these bombing of these movies, where they drop, because these idiots who are obsessed with Zack Snyder, or a toxic fan base who hate the idea of the strong female characters, or it doesn't go with what they're put, like Little Mermaid is black. What? Who gives a fuck? Apparently these guys are so pissed off about that because of wokeness, and that's the Republican disease, fascist Republican disease, that has permeated since 2016. And all these troubles can pretty much get started back there, is when it became okay to be a fucking asshole. And now these people are taking advantage of that online and review bombing these things, while at the same time review up bombing their own movies. The Zack Snyder movies, I cannot believe has like a 99%, stuff like that, because they're god awful movies. Again, it's my opinion, and these people like the movie, but if you take a look at the reviews, a lot of them are from bots. If you clear out the bots, there's no way that that's a 99%. It probably drops down to about a 70, might even be less than that as well. But because you have a orchestrated review bombing of stuff, Rotten Tomatoes has no way to protect against that anymore. They don't care. It's just like, oh, this is what we do. This is apparently, what people believe. And so people take it like they did Siskel and Ebert, as that word, like, oh, it's got a rotten score, so I'm not gonna go see it. It's a piece of shit. It isn't. It's actually really good. And what you need to be looking at is the audience thing, which is, if you look at it, it's 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's 84% on the audience return. So actually, the audience really likes it. It's just these certain reviewers and these toxic assholes and these review bombers are the ones that are destroying it. Now, reading some of the reviews, they are complaining that the movie, one of the reasons I didn't like the movie was because it seemed like it was all set up for other movies down the line, for setting up Kang and stuff like that. And I got to smack my head against the table, because, yes, that's what this is. It's setting up the Kang Dynasty stuff. You need to have a setup. You can't just drop it in there. And need I remind you that the last phase 4, there was no big bad. It was all about grief and stuff like that, and acceptance and trying to recover from Endgame and stuff like that. It was a character building phase. And all you assholes out there said that was so terrible because there was no setup for a big bad. It was just character development. So that's why these movies were bad. And then all of a sudden you get a movie that is a development for a big bad, and you're saying there's not enough character development. Why don't you just say what you really feel, that you hate Marvel, or you're jealous of Marvel's success. You're a DC Snyderverse fanboy asshole who doesn't want Marvel to be successful. You only want your shit to be successful because you're better than everybody else, and you know better than everybody else, and nobody can like the stuff that you don't like. So you say it that way. It makes no sense. Your biggest complaint was there was no big bad in phase 4. Well, they're setting up a big bad here, and you're like, well, there's no character development now. You can't have it both ways. This has really pissed me off this week, this whole Rotten Tomatoes thing. And it's getting to the point where for the last 7 years, I have been living in this cloud of anxiety, depression, anger about all the shit that's happening. And it's still affecting me. It's affecting my health. It's affecting how my sleeping habits. It's affecting my stomach. It's affecting how I feel. I'm tired all the time. I'm ornery. It's fucking awful. And I'm tired of all this bullshit. And this stuff needs to be stopped. This review bombing needs to be stopped. The whole thing that Rotten Tomatoes is the end all be all needs to be stopped. Go out and make your own determination. Don't let someone else make the determination for you. If you don't want to see the movie, don't go see the movie. I don't give a fuck. You know, it might not be your cup of tea. Who cares? I don't care. I'm going to see the movie. I like the movie. But to say that comic book movies and Marvel movies are dying because the Rotten Tomatoes score is low, fuck you. You have no idea what you're talking about. This movie's going to make over $100 million at the box office, which you might think, oh, that's not that impressive. Yeah, it goddamn is. Might have been impressive as it was years ago. It's still impressive that Ant-Man, a Paul Rudd movie. Now, Paul Rudd's great. I love Paul Rudd. I love this movie. But there's no major big-ass stars or no major, big-ass sort of special effects sort of things in it. Yeah, there's special effects, but nothing like that shitty Avatar stuff, which all the fanboys had to go see for whatever. I still don't understand all that. People complaining about that movie, and yet it's making the same amount of money that it made last time. That's the 3D money for you. That's besides the point. It's still going to make $100 million. That's a damn good movie, too. I don't care what anybody says. That's my opinion. You might agree with what Rotten Tomatoes says. You might think it's a shitty movie. You know what? That's fine. It's your prerogative. It's your decision. But go see it before you say how bad it is. Don't just automatically say, well, Rotten Tomatoes says it sucks, so obviously it must suck. Obviously it means that Marvel is shitty. Go see the movie. It's fun. It's exactly what a movie's supposed to be. You're not supposed to have, in a Marvel Comics movie, you're not really supposed to have a lot of deep thoughts. You just want specific things. You want action. You want some humor. You want a strong villain. And you want, and despite how much you complained about it, you want that continuous connection to all the other stuff as well. You want them to refer to stuff that's happened before and the stuff that could be happening in the future. Go see Ant-Man 3. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Go see it. It's really a good movie. I'm telling you that because that's my opinion. My opinion is it's a good movie. I like it a lot. It's outstanding. It's enjoyable. It's fun. I found absolutely really nothing wrong with it, except I wish Hope and Scott had more interaction. That was really about it. The story's easy to follow. It made you think, about the bad guy, what his motivation is, and his actual threat. He wasn't a nice person, but again, it's one of those things that, you might not like what I do, but you're not going to like what's coming if you get rid of me. It's going to be a whole lot worse than me. Now, another thing that I think reason why people are hating on this movie as well, besides I think I just went through is, again, I think it's a lot of is the toxic fan base who cannot stand to see powerful women in the movie. And I love the fact, because I love Michelle Pfeiffer, the fact that Janet Van Dyne has a much bigger role in this film than she did in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Again, disappointed a little bit that Evangeline Lilly's role was reduced slightly. I don't know if that had to do with her comments about COVID and the vaccine and stuff like that, or it's just that was just the way the story is. But as I said, that's the only nitpick I might have, is that I think Hope's character has taken sort of a step back than what she did in Ant-Man and the Wasp. She has some bits, particularly at the end of the movie, but a lot of it is she's just sort of there. As I said, the end, the last third of the movie, she comes out of her shell a little bit more, but I wish she'd sort of been sort of in there the whole time. She's just there. And no, I might not agree with what Evangeline Lilly said, but I like her character, and her character was outstanding in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And here, it took a slight step back. That's the only nitpick I have about the movie, but did that reduce my enjoyment of it? No, it didn't, because in turn, they gave a lot of the stuff that probably Hope would have been doing to Janet. But I love Michelle Pfeiffer. She's outstanding. She knows the quantum realm and the fact that she should be the one to take the lead and talk about the stuff. And she's really good. Michael Douglas also takes a step back also. He's barely in it also. Again, he has a bit with the giant ants, which I'll get to in a second. But he sort of takes a sort of step back. It's really the Janet Van Dyne, Michelle Pfeiffer show, and the Scott Lang and Cassie show. It's really, and even Kang somewhat is a little bit more. Jonathan Majors' Kang. It's really their show. Hank and Hope, who were the mainstay in the first two, take sort of a step back, but they're still there, and they each have big moments there and here and there, and I like that. As I said, it's not reducing my enjoyment of the film, but the fact is, you had a strong female in Michelle Pfeiffer's Jan Van Dyne, who does kick a lot of ass. When Hope does make her appearances known, stuff like that, she kicks a lot of ass as well. And then you get Cassie, who absolutely, I love Catherine Newton's portrayal of Cassie. I thought it was outstanding. I love this character. It's hard to, that's not hard to, but I find myself amazed that is another character that I just met. Really, I mean, Cassie's appeared in other stuff when she was younger, stuff like that. It's the first time you really get a full rounded character with her. Same with Haley Steinfeld in Hawkeye. I fell in love with her character as well. Kate, she's outstanding in that as well. And I want to see these two interact with each other in Young Avengers. I think that'd be outstanding. Those two together is going to be worth the admission itself to see that. And then you get the other characters in there who are slowly but surely being introduced. I want my Young Avengers. But you get a little bit more of a strong end of Cassie also. She's the one that sort of changes MODOK and has some sequences with MODOK and shows a little bit of toughness. There's also a female who leads the rebellion, who is a badass as well. So you have strong females kicking ass and taking names. And these toxic fanboy assholes cannot handle it because they're a bunch of whiny little bitches. They kind of, so that's another reason why I think they gave it, bad grades as well. And another aspect is, as I said, I called this the MCU version of Return of the Jedi. And again, I'm going to get a little bit more into spoiler territory here. So if you have not seen Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, you might want to la 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 for a few minutes. But near the end, where it looks like Kang is getting the upper hand on the rebellion, a bunch of highly evolved giant ants appear, which is a whole story that it makes sense from the beginning of the film to getting to this point. And it gets explained. Hank explains how this all happens, but you get the giant ant swarm, which is tough and strong and intelligent, and they swarm on and they defeat Kang for the most part. They're the ones that take out Kang after he's beaten the crap out of basically, well, not beating the crap, but like blowing away a ton of the rebellions. These just giant ants come and take him out. Similar to what people reacted to when the Ewoks took down the Imperials in Return of the Jedi. People were screaming, how can little fuzzy teddy bears take out these cool ass Imperial stormtroopers, stuff like that? In this case, they're fucking little bears. They eat people. Come on, they were trying to eat Han and Luke and Chewie in Return of the Jedi. They were cooking them to eat them. And then you have the helmets that they're playing the drums on at the end of the film. Where the hell do you think they got that from? They fucking killed those stormtroopers. They weren't getting killed from being hit by giant rocks and trees and stuff like that. They were getting knocked out. And then what happens? The bears come with their weapons, beat the crap out of them, and then pull the helmet off. And guess what? Go for the jugular, tear his throat out, and then they tear off the outfit and they eat the shit out of him. They're little fucking bears. Scares the living shit out of me that you have a bunch of these mini bears that had the attitude of bears, and Cocaine Bear actually comes out this Friday, which I hope to go see as that well. But you have these little fucking bears killing these things and eating them. How did they have a dress for Princess Leia? Because they probably fucking ate the woman it came in. Now, the ants don't eat people in Ant-Man 3, but they are highly evolved cybernetic ants who have powers, and they're big, and they've grown, and they're swarming. There's not just one or two. There's like thousands of them. And these suckers are not, light. They're not small. They are, they're big, and they're heavy, and they're tough. And yes, Kang has these powers, but when you're hit with a swarm of these giant ants, you're going to get your ass kicked. And I think that's another reason why they didn't like this film as well, is because, oh God, we're reverting back to the fucking Ewoks again. So go see the movie. All right. I highly recommend it. You don't have to agree with me, whatever I said. But as I said, I say go see the movie. Make your own decision. Don't listen to fucking Rotten Tomatoes or the toxic fan base. All people says the Marvel movies are dead. Obviously, they're not, because you're going to see them. Unless you're not, and you're making up stories about these reviews that are blasting them, saying it's a shitty movie. Well, how do you know if you haven't seen it? If you don't like these movies, if you don't like Marvel, stuff like that, why are you still going to them? Is it FOMO, fear of missing out? Go see the movie. Make your own decision. If you still don't like it, that's fine. You might not affect. You might look at it and go, "Oh, big giant ants killing Kang. That's stupid." So what they thought was like Christian Bale was underutilized in Thor: Love and Thunder, and the Hammer's having feelings. Which, if you've read the comics, they're walking storyline where Mjolnir actually is a god and has feelings and thoughts, stuff like that. So it makes perfect sense what's going on. And also, you know what? Natalie Portman was a strong-ass Thor. We also have a Valkyrie in there as well. She was a strong-ass woman character too. Oh my God, the movie sucks. It was funny when, it wasn't supposed to be funny. When he was with the kids, he was making jokes, stuff like that. He's trying to alleviate the fears of these kids who are afraid they're going to die. He doesn't want to say, yeah, you're fucking going to die. He wants to cheer them up and make them feel happy and make jokes and stuff like that. It's not out of character. It's what he does. Yes, Christian Bale's character might have been underutilized a little bit, being called the God Killer and stuff like that. And I know you guys want to see him kick ass because you're such Christian Bale asshole, stuff like that. You love his shit. But you know what? I like the movie. Again, I went to see it. I liked it. And you know what? You still went to see the movie too. But if you just made up a review because you didn't like it, that doesn't count. Go see the movie. And if you don't like the movie, then stop going to them. We don't need your toxicness to see these movies. We just need you to get the fuck out. You can go watch your jerk off to your goddamn Snyder movies all you want. I don't give a shit. Get away from my Marvel movies. If you don't like them, don't go to them. End of story. And if you're such a, if you're not going to it is such a big deal that it's going to cause Marvel going to, then by all means, let it happen. If it happens that so many people decide we don't like Marvel anymore and leave and it goes downhill, that's fine. That's on Marvel. That's what they do. I still like these a lot. And one of these days I am going to do a conversation with myself. I haven't done one since November, but I want to do one where I just rank all the Marvel stuff, Marvel comics, the movies, and the TV shows. And I'm going to get more into detail about this stuff because, yes, there are, you can call me Marvel fanboy all you want, but there are Marvel movies I don't like. And there are ones that I absolutely think are criminally overrated. I think there are a ton that are criminally underrated. I think this one is hugely underrated. I think that the critics are a bunch of freaking morons. Yeah, they made it's their decision, but at the same time, I think there's something underlying it. From what I've been hearing also is that their reviews say, well, mostly bad, but there's a lot of good in it as well. But we had decided to give it a bad grade anyway, just because we hate Disney and Marvel and we want them to suffer. But at the same time, you said there's still some good stuff in it. But what you need to look at is, again, this is where I guess the electoral college thing is that look at the popular view, the customers, the audience that's watching the movie itself. When they're coming out and they're grading it an 84. That seems about normal for me. I would probably rank it higher than that because that's my opinion. But 84 seems to be about right. Not this 48 that stupid fucking Rotten Tomatoes is. Now, I can't really blame Rotten Tomatoes too much because that's their job. That's the whole point of their website. What I can complain to them about is that their security is shit and they're letting all these asshole, toxic people review bomb stuff and they don't do a goddamn thing about it. Oh yeah, we know they review bombed it, but we're going to keep the rottenness at that level, despite the fact that all these, if we remove these bad reviews for it, the movie would probably pop back up into the fresh area. But we're not going to do that. I don't like that. All right, I got a lot to talk about, so I've got 4 more pages of shit. So I just want to get that off my chest. Again, one of these days I got to do a conversation with myself talking about the Marvel stuff where I get in more detail about this. My last phrase, Make your own decision. Don't listen to what Rotten Tomatoes says. Don't listen to what the toxic fan base says. Don't listen to what critics say. Go in on your own. See the movie for yourself and make a decision then. If you do not see the movie and you say, yeah, it's a terrible movie, it sucks ass, go the fuck home. You don't know because you didn't see the movie. You know, that's the same thing. There's someone says, I hate My Hero Academia. Well, why do you hate it? What do you hate about it? Well, I've never seen an episode, but I just hate it. You have no say if you do not see it. You're just going by what other people are saying. You have to go see it. You have to make your own decision. If you don't want to go see it and stuff like that, that's fine. You don't have to go see it. But don't badmouth it. Don't give a bad review to it if you do not see the fucking movie. Okay? Because that's not how it works. That's how none of this works. You have to see the movie. Sit down in the movie theater. Sit there for 2 hours and 5 minutes. Watch the movie. And you know what? You might enjoy it, actually. You never know. Is that what you're afraid of? You're afraid that, oh, this movie sucks. I need to make Marvel look like it's bad, because they're woke and all this bullshit. I've got to write a bad review and review bomb, stuff like that. But I'm not going to go see it because why should I? You're afraid you're going to like it. Now, look, as I said, if you go to the movie and you hate it, that's fine. You went to the movie and you hate it. But you have to explain to me, why did you hate it? If you hate it because you didn't like the wokeness, you have no say. You're a fucking moron. Give me a concrete reason why you didn't like it. All right, I got a lot to get through. So sorry for my little rant there, but I'm moving on here. Naked boys singing. I brought this up because my wife actually went to this way back in like 2000. It's an off-Broadway show where, yes, it is naked men singing. And so it's hugely popular. It's been out in New York for a while now, but it's finally coming back to New York, and it's back in there as well. The woke people are going to hate this. There's going to be a new Starsky and Hutch reboot, but it's going to be an all-female cast. I have no problem with it. I never liked Starsky and Hutch to begin with, but if it's get two interesting female cast roles in it, go for it. Personally, I think you shouldn't be rebooting or remaking these types of shows. You should create your own shows. That's besides the point. But the fact is, they're making a Starsky and Hutch remake, and they're gonna make it be two females. Fine, go for it. Knock yourself out. I have no problem with that. Scientists turn dead birds into zombie birds. Zombie drones, I should say, to spy on humans. Now, I thought that this was a fake story for a while, but I discovered it on 2 or 3 different websites and stuff like that. So apparently, somehow they're able to bring these dead birds back to life and attach, I guess, cameras or whatever, and they can spy on people. Again, this sounds sort of like a fake, made-up sort of conspiracy theory sort of thing, but it's popped up on a few other websites instead of just one. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure because I've never seen a zombie bird, so I couldn't tell you. Nightmare Before Christmas is going to be getting a Lego set soon. I think I talked about that last week, but it's officially now announced that they are going to be doing that as well. Oh, I forgot to put that as death. Eli Roth's Thanksgiving slasher film that he's currently making has cast Patrick Dempsey as the sheriff. I guess he's going to be the good guy sheriff. I'm not a big Eli Roth fan, but the Thanksgiving is an underrated holiday to me, and the fact that they're making a horror film about it, I find it kind of funny. Let's see what else. Lizzo is super happy that they named a snowplow after her. She thought it was kind of cool in Minnesota. Minnesota always has these new snowplows, and they open up like on the newspaper, say, hey, help us name our snowplows. And Lizzo was named after they named a snowplow after Lizzo. So it's kind of interesting with that. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who is married to Ewan McGregor, has come in to replace Rosamund Pike in the virus thriller Rich Flu. So she's going to be popping up in a film here soon. Jordana Brewster, Scott Speedman, Lawrence Fishburne are set to star in The Offer, which is a thriller out there coming in there soon. All those are like sort of old school 90s sort of actors and actresses. So it's kind of cool like that. Jason Alexander, George from Seinfeld, is putting on his directing hat, but not in movies. He's going to be directing a Broadway play called The Cottage with Eric McCormick from Will and Grace, and Lily Cooper and Laura Bell Bundy, I think it was. Kind of seemed good for him. Speaking of Broadway, Assassins, an old school musical that was hugely popular at the beginning of the century, stuff like that, and then disappeared for a while, is coming back to Broadway. So that'll be good to see that come back. I haven't seen it, but I've heard good stuff about it. I think Tim Rice is the guy who did it. He's someone who helped write the Lion King music or something like that. So Degrassi High reboot is coming to HBO Max. My friend Lisa Marie Bowman is a huge Degrassi High fan, and when I saw that, I copied her in on it, and she loved it. So if you liked Degrassi High, you'll be able to see it on new reboot coming to HBO Max here soon. Ted Lasso. I have not seen Ted Lasso, but it is a hugely popular show. As in the news twice, there was a teaser trailer for the third season of Ted Lasso. There it is. Season 3 teaser popped out this week. And the ice cream brand Jenny's has created a Ted Lasso biscuits with the best, or with the bus or something, or with the boys. Sorry, biscuits with the boys ice cream is now out and about. So there you go. Ted Lasso's got a season 3 coming and his own ice cream. Austin P, a college, has indefinitely suspended their entire cheerleading squad due to potential violations that are not explained, but they have been indefinitely suspended from performing anywhere. It does not include the dance troupe or the mascot, so they'll still be able to do stuff during games, stuff like that, but the cheerleaders have been suspended indefinitely. Tyler Perry is getting into more serious films. He is directing a World War II biopic of an all-black female battalion in World War II. Stars Kerry Washington. So that sort of came out recently as well. The Mighty Ducks and Big Shot, 2 lower-level TV shows that Disney Plus did, have been canceled after 2 seasons. Rami Malek will be starring in a CIA thriller called Amateur. So he's starting to get some new stuff is there. A letter arrives more than 100 years after it was posted to, I guess the address is supposed to go to, 100 years after it's posted. That's crazy. So someone put this letter in the mail in 1923 and it just got delivered this week. That's crazy. The Netflix documentary series are really interesting. The only one I've really seen is one about Woodstock 99, which is really, really good. And now I want to see this one. On March 8th, there's going to be a Netflix documentary series based on MH370, the plane that disappeared, that Malaysian airship that disappeared. It was on radar, and then it just went poof, and no one knows what happened to it. And this is many years later. They don't know. There's been all kinds of conspiracy theories linked to it and stuff like that, but no one knows what happened to it. So this documentary is going to look at everything and all the aspects of it. The trailer came out this week, and it's due out on March 8th, so I might have to check that out as well. I'm not the biggest fan of Seth MacFarlane, but he's going to be developing a series based on a comic book called The Shrouded College. I think it's going to be animated, to be honest. So it's not really going to be like Family Guy humorous. It's going to be more action horror oriented. So we'll see what happens. He's a pretty big name, so they're able to get these smaller projects that do. That's fine with that. I'm just not a big fan of him. Sebastian Stan is going to be starring in an Apple TV show about a con man. I don't get the name of it right now, but he's going to be starring in that as well. The DCU Lanterns series that was announced a couple weeks ago, which I talked about in the show, may tackle the Darkest Night storyline, which I find kind of odd, because the reason why Darkest Night worked is because they brought back DC comic book characters that we'd had seen die and had liked for a while and hated when they died. And when they came back, it was a big shock to us. But if you're going to be doing it as the first season of the DCU Lanterns series, you don't really have that built up. It's not going to have the same effect because, well, I guess to the cast it will, because they knew these characters, but you didn't know these characters as well as they did. So you're like, oh, okay, it's a former lover or a former friend or whatever. Oh, that sucks. But in the comics, you got to know these characters and they had their own comics and they had their own personalities and they got killed. They're like, oh shit, that sucks. And then they come back, you're like, oh shit. You're not going to get that same sort of feeling with this. So I think it's a bad idea to deal with that. It's a good storyline, yes, but I don't think you need to do it right now. You got to kind of hope and pray that this is something you do around season 5 or 6, like The Flash, the TV show Flash. If it wasn't going to be canceled, they were going to do a Darkest Night story. I think that would be great because then you can bring back all the characters that were killed off in all the other shows, the Arrows and the Legends of Tomorrow and stuff like that, bring them back. And that would be more in effect because them. Those series have been on for 6-7 years. So that'd be the perfect show. But a brand new show, no, it's not going to have the same effect on us. So I think that's a bad idea. I Am Legend 2 will be finally making its way to the screen, starring Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith. So having Will Smith in is kind of interesting since his character seemingly having died in the first one, but we'll figure out how that's going to work out. We'll see what happens with that. A database of 5,000 historical cookbooks carrying over 1,000 years of food history is now available online. So if you want to get some old school cooking, stuff like that, you go online. I don't know what the website is, but I'm sure if you type it in, you can look it up as well. Extrapolation is a new Apple TV show with a killer cast. It's a limited series, and the first trailer for it came out. Listen to this cast. Matthew Rhys, Meryl Streep, Gemma Chan, Kit Harington, Heather Graham, Sienna Miller, David Schwimmer, Judd Hirsch, Cherry Jones, Edward Norton, Michael Gandolfini, Indira Verna, Diane Lane, Kerry Russell, Marion Cotillard, Goez Chandri, Forrest Whitaker, Elizabeth Crises, Eliza Gonzalez, Tobey Maguire, and more. It's an outstanding cast. It's a post-apocalyptic world sort of thing, but it's got an amazing cast, and it is a new limited series on Apple TV+. Stella Stevens, an actress on The Night Professor with Jerry Lewis, passed away this week. John Veitch, trainer of Al Yadair, who was the runner-up in the 1978 Triple Crown, which means he came in second in the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the third one, which I always forget what it is. So there's that one. Daisy Jones in the 6th trailer for Prime. Debuts March 3rd, has Riley Keough and Sam Clavin in it. Anniversary, The Burbs came out in 1989, so 89, 99, 2009, 2019. 34 years ago. That was Joe Dante, Tom Hanks. And Corey Feldman's in that as well, I think. Talking about Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving play will be coming to Broadway later this year, starring Darcy Carter, Candice Finneran, Scott Foley, and Che Sullivan. So Thanksgiving has made an appearance twice now. HBO Max has ordered the J.J. Abrams series Duster with Josh Holloway, Rachel Hilson, Greg Grunberg, Keith David, Sydney Elizabeth, Benjamin Chris Watson. It's set in 1972 Southwest, so that could be kind of interesting. Boop, the Betty Boop musical, will be getting its world premiere in Chicago before coming to Broadway. So I told you we're getting a lot of Broadway news here, so that's kind of interesting. I talked about the 1,000 years of food history. Well, add to that, a medieval pantry was discovered with spices found in a 500-year-old shipwreck. So you have spices from 500 years ago making appearance again. So I don't think they're going to be good now, but it'd be interesting to see what they used for spices 500 years ago. November Rain by Guns N' Roses, which is a great song, by the way, becomes the first rock video to get 2 billion views on YouTube. So congratulations to Guns N' Roses and November Rain. They have the only rock video to hit 2 billion views as of now. Live action How to Train Your Dragon movie is in the works. Yay, I guess. The first shots of True Detective Night Country with Jodie Foster have been making the rounds lately. Barry Keoghan to play Billy the Kid, and that's actually pretty good casting. He kind of looks like the Billy the Kid from the old school photos that we have of him. Peeps Soda is available in retail. I think I mentioned that. I have not seen it yet, but it supposedly came out this week. I checked earlier this week. I checked my local convenience stores around here trying to find the strawberries and cream stuff. I found this at a Food Lion, actually. They didn't have that. They had the orange Mountain Dew, which I hadn't had for a while, Live Wire, which I didn't get, but I thought I should get sometime. But keep an eye out for that, and hopefully I'll find it soon. I will definitely do it like I did here. Captain America 4 to start filming next month, and that's actually kind of cool because Fortnite also today actually just released a Sam Wilson Captain America skin you can get for Fortnite as well. So yeah, Captain America 4 is going to be starting filming in about a month. And guess what else is starting to filming about a month? Actually, about 5 weeks or 10 weeks rather. Blade is finally going to start filming in the next 10 weeks. So you're going to get Blade and Captain America 4 filming at the same time. So finally, after all the stuff Blade's gone through, they will start filming in about 10 weeks. So good on them to get back to that. Great Expectations trailer. I think I talked about that last week. Great Expectations is one of my favorite Dickens novels. It's had a couple of films made about it. This is a brand new one. It's about time. There hasn't been one for a while. So it's good about that. HBO Max has a trailer for a new limited series starring the luscious and glorious Elizabeth Olsen, who's slowly becoming one of my new crushes. Her birthday was this week, actually. She will also be working with Jesse Plemons. It's about I guess it looks like she's a 1980s sort of woman. It looks like she's supposed to be the 1980s, but like a housewife, a doting housewife who, has the husband and the kids and is keeping the house clean as the housewife. She's getting bored with her life, so she decides she wants to have an affair, and it gets bloody apparently because they didn't really go into much detail, but I guess something's going to happen where she kills her husband or something like that. I don't know, but it's called Love and Death. So, but it's good to see her doing some other stuff as well. Emma Roberts and Lawrence Fishburne are going to be starring in a sci-fi horror film called The Astronaut. So it's good to see Emma Roberts getting a little bit more work here. Poker Face is getting a second season pickup on, I guess that was Paramount, I guess. It got a lot of really good success, and it was going to definitely get a second season pickup. There's no doubt about that. Aaron Eckhart to lead a terrorist takeover airplane action thriller called Midair. So we'll see one of those again. I guess you're going to start making those after 9/11 has been way distant now. Calvin and Hobbes creator Bill Watterson is returning, but not in the way you think it is. He is going to be working on, I think he's just writing it though. I don't think he's drawing it, a dark adult graphic novel called The Mysterious with another artist. It's coming out later this year, I believe. Squid Game 2 has started filming this month, so you're going to start seeing that. Now, there was a time back at the turn of the century, and maybe a little bit before that, about 97, 98-ish, and then sort of been happening a lot lately when there are two films that are so similar coming out in the same year that it's funny. Like, I'll give you a few examples. Independence Day and Mars Attacks, both about alien invasions of Earth, came out in the same year. Dante's Peak and Volcano, I think that was 96. 97, I think you have Dante's Peak and Volcano came out in the same year. Then you had in 99, I believe, the Comet one and Armageddon. I forget what the one Comet one was with Elijah Wood, but that one and Armageddon both came out. So you have sort of these competing movies, and they release them at the same time. There were two Robin Hood movies that came out the same year. Two King Arthur movies that came out the same year, sort of stuff like that. So we haven't had that for a while, and now we have it again. And this time it is a weird sort of thing. Dancer, actor Fred Astaire is getting two biopics. The first one that was announced was going to star Jamie Bell and is going to be directed by Jonathan Entwistle. But they just announced it, but nothing's really been done on it yet. And then this week, Paddington director Paul King and actor Tom Holland, Spider-Man himself, will also be doing a Fred Astaire biopic. So we're going to be having two competing Fred Astaire biopics coming out here really soon. Return to Silent Hill. Christopher Gans has gotten his funding for it, and his filming is going to be starting soon on it. So good for them. Brock's Desserts of the World jelly beans that are the flavor of desserts of the world from Brock's. Brock's don't have really good jelly beans, but hey, it's something different. So they're the ones that do the Thanksgiving one and stuff like that, Thanksgiving dinner one and stuff like that. So that's interesting. Some sad news. Bruce Willis has been diagnosed with dementia. He left acting because he had this other disease, but now dementia is starting to set in now. So there's not much you can do about that. Just make his life comfortable for what remains of it. Some science stuff. Dwarf planet Quaro, which is out there near Pluto and stuff like that, has a ring system that defies our understanding of gravity. And basically what it is, you have the mini planet, and the rings are like way out here. There's nothing between the planet and the first ring. It's just space. And most scientists are like, how the hell does that happen? Because Saturn's rings are right there. Jupiter's small ring is right there. Uranus' small ring is right there. Neptune's small ring is right there. This one is way out there. Even the one that's like, millions of miles away, the out of planet I talked about weeks ago, it starts here and goes way out. This one is, there's the planet, there's space, and then there's the ring. It doesn't make any sense because the gravity should be pulling it towards the planet, but it's not. But what a lot of scientists saying, though, is that they're glad that they discovered those rings. They're trying to figure out why that is the case. But it could also mean that this ring system is going to not exist very soon, and that basically this is the beginning of the formation of a moon. And they've never actually seen the formation of a moon. And this very well could be the start of a formation of the moon, because it doesn't make sense why this ring is so far away from the center of its planet. Because, as I said, most systems that have rings, it's right around the center of the planet. So we'll keep an eye on that, see what happens. But that'd be really, really cool that if they can actually, if it doesn't turn, the reason why it is that way is because it's going to be creating its own moon. It'd be really cool for them to take a look at that and see it live. It'd be kind of neat. NASA scientists have also detected a huge thermonuclear blast deep in space. They don't know what that is, if it was a supernova or whatever. There's no light with it attributed to it, but they did discover it. So that's going to be ongoing as well. And a Danish physicist named Lena Hone has slowed the speed of light to 38 miles per hour and was able to manipulate it, which is really kind of weird that kind of happened. Anniversary, sticking with science, 33 years ago, Voyager 1 took the famous pale blue dot picture, which is from outside of Saturn, I believe, a small blue star in the distance, which is our planet, and makes people really think and wonders that this little small thing that's no smaller than a crumb is our planet and everyone on it. The Breakfast Club came out 38 years ago this week. Mannequin came out 36 years ago this week, so lots of good 80s films there. The Wedding Singer, Adam Sandler's one of his biggest hits, came out 25 years ago this week, so congratulations on your 25-year anniversary. Happy Gilmore, one of his other big ones, came out 27 years ago this week, which is weird because it came out before Wedding Singer. Okay, I guess so, but Happy Gilmore was sort of the one that sort of cemented him. Well, Billy Madison was the one that sort of cemented him as a leading man type, and then Happy Gilmore was the one that really got him into that. Nightbreed, great horror film, is celebrating its 33rd anniversary, and Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage is celebrating its 16th anniversary. All right, 2 more full pages to go, and we'll probably get a 2-hour episode. So let's see if I can roll through here. Joker 2 is in the news. We got our first pictures of Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. And they look okay, I guess. We'll see. We'll see. And also, not on the good side, and I mean, not on the bad side, extras on the movie have been complaining that the director is not allowing them to take bathroom breaks or any breaks whatsoever. They need to stay there the whole time and can't take these breaks. So that's kind of sucky. And no, that should be something that does not happen. So hopefully that'll be taken care of in the future. So you got a future. The Back to the Future musical is going to land on Broadway finally on June 30th. It is presently in previews right now, going through the preview process. The Nevers, the Joss Whedon show that when all that stuff blew up about him, he walked away from it. It was on HBO Max, and HBO Max just said, to hell with it. We don't want anything to do with Joss Whedon, so we're going to dump these. As I said last week, Tubi has bought the rights to air a lot of these HBO Max shows. They will be showing the unreleased episodes on Tubi. So if you like that show, there you go. Okay, you can get restaurant quality frozen ramen now that does not need water. So you can get that in your local your freezer section. So you don't have to get water anymore. You just pop in the microwave and you get yourself some ramen there. So that's pretty interesting as well. Hypnotic, the Ben Affleck, Robert Rodriguez film, has been trying to secure a U.S. distributor after their other one went bankrupt, has finally gotten a U.S. distributor, so you'll be seeing that movie sooner than later. The story, according to Kevin Feige, the story for Spider-Man 4 is locked in. So now it's just a matter of getting pre-production started, getting Tom Holland back, and making the film. So the story is set. They know what they're going to be doing. So now they're going to do the casting and prep pre-production like that. It's not going to start filming probably for another year or so, but the process is currently underway. Friday, the 24th, is upcoming Friday. We will have the arrival of Cocaine Bear, movie directed by Elizabeth Banks based on a true story. My family is going camping next weekend, so I'm probably going to go see the movie probably Friday night or Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, depending on how I feel, but I want to definitely see it. But Cocaine Bear is like the funny story that's been permeating for the last few months here. But they have created Universal in order to push the merchandising and the to get the advertising for stuff like that, has created an 8-bit Cocaine Bear video game that is very similar to Pac-Man. I guess the Cocaine Bear is chasing after bags of cocaine or people or whatever. So we'll see. I was talking about the weird stars. The Hubble Space Telescope has noticed strange spires on Saturn's rings, which had not been seen for 14 years. But it's not that unusual because the last time they saw it, they came to the realization that the fall equinox was coming. So it takes 14 years for the fall equinox to hit Saturn. And when it does, these mysterious spokes appear in the rings. And that is what's happening. So apparently their fall is once every 14 years, which sucks because I love fall. It's my favorite season. But the fact is, Saturn is currently in their fall equinox right now. Brianna Middleton to star in the Apple Plus TV show based on the old 1900s movie Metropolis, from director Sam Ephraim, who did the Mr. Robot TV show with Rami Malek. So I don't know how I feel about that, a TV show of one of the original movies that ever was created. Sure, I guess. Speaking of that as well, Amazon has shown its first look of the Dead Ringers TV show they're doing based on the David Cronenberg movie, but instead of it being Jeremy Irons as twins, you have Rachel Weisz as twins. So it's going to be a TV show about, I guess they're murderous twins, if I remember correctly. So there is going to be a Dead Ringers TV show with female leads. So the toxic fanboys are losing their collective fucking heads now because we're all woke and shit. Renzi Fellig and Michael Kelly have joined the cast of the Penguin Show, with Renzi Fellig getting a leading role in the Penguin Show. So good on that. Guy floats a 150-pound anvil on a pool of mercury, which just goes to show you how dense certain chemicals can be. And it's kind of interesting to see that sort of thing. Deadpool 3 cast the Crown star Emma Corrini as the main villain. So we're going to have a female villain in the new Deadpool movie. Megadeth is going to reunite with the their guitarist Marty Friedman for the first time in 23 years. NFL announcer Greg Olson will be taking a 70% pay cut when Tom Brady decides to become an announcer. That's kind of a shitty thing to do there, Tommy, but he didn't really do it. You said you do it, so the network is being kind of dicks about it, but that kind of sucks for Greg Olson. Nicolas Cage and Joel Kinnaman appear in their first photo of Sympathy for the Devil. Don't know much about that movie as well. Steve Yeun and Ali Wong face off in the trailer for a new comedy series on Netflix called Beef. Megan Fox, she was hot. She's still hot. Has broken up with Machine Gun Kelly. So you're saying there's a chance. Post Malone was denied entry to an Australian bar because his tattoos did not meet the dress standards. An Australian bar. That's kind of funny. Could time travel explain the appearance of bizarre creatures like the Thunderbird and pterodactyls that have been seen around the world? Basically, could there be some sort of time rip, time hole, which has them flying through here and then disappearing again? Could that be similar to the Bigfoots? Could they be coming through time rips as well? That's why you don't see any trace of them other than this. Who knows? But it's an interesting theory to look at. Conrad Dobler, who's considered to be the dirtiest player in the NFL, passed away this week. Chris Brown, the creator of Hagar the Horrible, the newspaper cartoon, he passed away this week as well. Belgian goalkeeper Arnie Espeda died at the age of 25 after collapsing on the pitch in the middle of a game, which is kind of scary after what happened to Damar in football. Someone else collapsed this time. He passed away, unfortunately. Anniversaries. Wayne's World came out 31 years ago this week. The Ben Affleck Daredevil, Jennifer Garner Daredevil movie came out 20 years ago this week. The Silence of the Lambs came out 32 years ago this week and went on to sweep the Oscars for the most part. And Sphere, the adaptation by Barry Levinson with Dustin Hoffman, Sharon Stone, and Samuel L. Jackson, directed by Barry Levinson, based on the Michael Crichton novel, turns 25 this week as well. All right. We're in the home stretch here, so it might actually be done before 2-hour window hits. So that's good. The Outer Banks TV show has been renewed for a 4th season. Mega Lightning is a brand new B movie that would have showed up on the sci-fi B movies on Saturday night, but it's about Mega Lightning, so it's kind of cool. Tom Hardy to play a Hannibal Lecter-esque serial killer in Apple TV Plus again. Their show Lazarus, they're all over the place this week. Scientists discover unicorn fish, which is kind of interesting. I was talking about the Winnie the Pooh blood and honey sort of thing. Well, the same people are working on a Peter Pan movie, and they discussed that they're going to turn Tinkerbell into an obese, drug-addicted character. Again, cute idea, but it's going to get old after a while. Hey, let's just take a beloved Disney character and let's fuck them up. So, okay, wonderful. The Life of Pi is coming to Broadway. I did not know that. That's kind of interesting to see how they're doing that, since it's not a musical and there's not a lot of activity with a group of people. So that should be interesting to see how they do that. Orlando Bloom, who hasn't really been in much, is starring in the boxing thriller The Cut for Sean Ellis. Excuse me. A Chinese woman buys an unsettled Okinawan island. A lot of people are urging how she could actually do that. A 4th UFO was shot down on the dividing line between Canada, the border between Canada and the United States. So 4th one in about a week. This started last week. And the 4th one shot down early at the beginning of this week. There was one shot down in Alaska as well, and no one has been able to find the remnants of it. So we don't know if they're UFOs or they're more Chinese balloons. We don't know. Rideable cat buses will be available at the Ghibli Park theme park, which is kind of interesting because cat bus is awesome. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds welcome their 4th child. I did not see If the sex was revealed. Let's see if the sex was revealed. He's got 3 girls already. Let's see. He has a fourth one. Blake Lively. Kids. Ryan Reynolds kids. Here we go. All right. All right, let's see. All right, it didn't really say. So it's not saying what it is. So, it doesn't say. I mean, that's interesting. We don't need to know. But I'd kind of like to know if it was a boy or a girl. But yeah. Well, Ryan didn't divulge his newborn's name or sex. Okay, so it's still unknown right now. So it's not really our business, but I kind of like to know if he has got 4 girls now, if he's kind of got a son. Even though he would like another 4th girl. But congratulations to Blake and Ryan. It's good to see that they have the healthy, wealthy, and wise. Everybody's good, doing good, and so on and so forth. Netflix picks up the movie Seismic from producers Sean Levy and Greg Russo. It's an earthquake, what do you call those? Disaster sort of film things. Operation Fortune trailer with Jason Statham and Aubrey Plaza released our first trailer this week. Mattel is rebooting Barney and giving him a brand new look. He doesn't look like the dinosaur that we know and love. He's more of an animated sort of character now. Mr. Donut turns one of its best donuts into an ice cream sandwich, but only in Japan. A Eurasian eagle owl named Flacco has been loose in New York City for over a week now and has become a celebrity in the world of New York. Matthew McFadden, Jude Hall have joined Nicole Kidman in Holland, Michigan, a Alfred Hitchcock-esque thriller. Barrel-eye fish have a transparent head and tubular eyes, which is kind of a bizarre little dark underwater sort of creature. Jeff Wardlow is directing an imaginary friend horror film for Blumhouse. You can now Airbnb in a gilded opera box at the Palais Garnier in Paris. Peeps flavored cotton candy is out now. Doesn't surprise me really. The movie Plane gets a sequel called Ship with only Mike Coulter returning for that. So apparently Plane did well enough that it's got a sequel. The Super Bowl trailers kind of weak this year, but they released new trailers for The Flash. Ezra Miller is awful, terrible, and should never be working in movies ever again. Unfortunately, this movie's probably going to be a huge hit. And James Gunn already said, well, we might keep him around as Flash, which I really hope they don't, because he's a terrible Flash. He's also a terrible person in general. But the big story was seeing Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne and Batman again, him saying, I'm Batman, stuff like that. So that was the big deal about that. The new Transformers trailer is looking more and more like a Transformers movie as it should be, not a Michael Bay piece of shit that we've had before. This looks like a Transformers movie that is a live action cartoon. We see the colors, the characters come out and stuff like that. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 dropped their final trailer. It's a lot darker than you expected, and you're not looking forward to it because things are going to go south for a lot of the characters. Fast X had their first trailer released as well, as did a new trailer for Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. All look okay, all look fine, whatever. So, but I said the commercials were kind of lame this year at the Super Bowl. And moving on. Stray dog takes refuge in a Christmas nativity scene and gives birth to 7 puppies. Holy dog. The Russo brothers have wrapped filming on their Millie Bobby Brown action flick for Netflix, The Electric State. So Millie Bobby Brown can now move on to doing Stranger Things Season 5. Scientists have discovered wave-rippled rocks on Mars, which proves that there was once water on the surface of Mars. That's pretty interesting. We'll do one last story for the final thing, but we'll do the anniversaries. Deadpool, speaking of Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool is came out 7 years ago this week. The Cloverland Paradox came out 5 years ago this week, which dropped right after the Super Bowl and had lots of airtime. The Super Bowl was kind of neat how Netflix did something like that. They dropped a movie like, the TV shows drop a huge movie after the Super Bowl, or TV show after the Super Bowl, that they did that, and they haven't done it since. I think it's be kind of interesting if they did that again. Groundhog Day, believe it or not, did not come out around Groundhog Day. It came out literally about a couple weeks after Groundhog Day, but it's celebrating its 30th anniversary this week. Kingsman: The Secret Service came out 9 years ago this week as well. Deaths de la Souls, Trugoy the Dove died at the age of 57. And Eugene Lee, set designer for Saturday Night Live and Broadway, passed away this week as well. Finally, the last story for this week, Wes Anderson's Asteroid City will be featuring graphic nudity, which is a first, and interesting to see. It didn't say who has the graphic nudity in it, but that was one of the reasons why the movie will be rated R, due to graphic nudity. So that's it. All right, so that's it for me. I got in at 145. I'm 146 probably by the time, 147 maybe by the time I'm done my chit-chatting here. But thanks for watching. Thanks for letting me vent a little bit about Rotten Tomatoes. Go see Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. But go and see it just to make up your own mind. Don't go by what Rotten Tomatoes or the toxic fan base says. Go see it for yourself. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. If you don't want to go see it, then don't go see it. I don't care. But I think you'll enjoy yourself. It's a fun 2-hour and 5-minute diversion. It does set up the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, at least the next couple years. And the story's good. It's a lot of fun. And Paul Rudd is as great as always. And just outstanding. So go ahead, check that out. Next week, my family will be camping. I'll be home alone. And hopefully I'll be reviewing Cocaine Bear, as I plan on seeing either Friday or Saturday. So that should be interesting. So that's all I got to say about that. Not much else going on except stay warm. Enjoy yourselves. Oh, Fat Tuesday comes on Tuesday. Ash Wednesday starts on Wednesday, which means Lent for a Catholic start. So no meat on Fridays. And you got to give up something for Lent. So enjoy that, and I'll see you later.